Hello everyone, I'm ImKibitz and welcome back to Satisfactory, where today I'll be doing a tour of my 800-hour Satisfactory world and recapping the playthrough, and also how I kinda didn't lose my mind in the process of making it. But to be fair, I came pretty close. But no, I'm very used to mega projects. I've been playing Satisfactory ever since it released in 2019 in early access, and since then making big bases and big mistakes has kinda been my thing. And then once Satisfactory 1.0 was announced and released, I was like, oh boy, it's go time, brother. Because with Satisfactory 1.0's release, we now know exactly where all the resource nodes are going to be. We also know what SAM is used for, and mission critically, what kind of goals I would set for myself. And so, before anything actually got started, how the heck did I plan all this out? Well, first, I counted up all the resources in the game and threw that into a spreadsheet. Next, I did some research, and on Reddit, there is this alternate recipes ranking list. So huge shout out to Rye516 for putting this all together. And then with all this information, I went to Steam to download Satisfactory Modeler, where you can type in all the different recipes, and then drag and drop these little project boards along with all the alternate recipes to kind of plan out your worlds. And this just let me know if I was going too crazy with some of my ambitions. And with all that, I laid out everything out in the spreadsheet, which is acting like my instruction booklet for the playthrough. So with my goal and instructions prepared, I could finally start to play. Step 1 was getting out of the dirt. Just establishing coal power, getting alternate recipes, getting the dimensional depot online, yada yada. Up until we got our first goal. Mark II miners and Mark IV belts. At which point I started to make more permanent factories and launch into our next goal of getting turbo fuel. My thinking was, if we got the turbo fuel power plant, we could use that to power on a giant nuclear power plant, and once we had a giant nuclear power plant, we'd have all the power in the world to do whatever the heck I want. So after finishing that up in a quick couple boops, we locked in on our journey towards nuclear power. But I needed a more central place to operate from, a main base if you will. And also a permanent place to build what I call the Factory of Factories. This is just where we have an overflow system making everything pretty much in the game. Not well, not fast, but we are making it. And because of Satisfactory 1.0, we have a dimensional depot where all of the items in this Factory of Factories are put. And with this, we can build whatever the heck we want, wherever we want, without having to worry about having a ton of stuff in our inventory. And alongside that, I also wanted a giant central storage room, just in case we did have some kind of giant mega project where I needed, 4,800 of one item. And also mission critically, since we're working around the world, I wanted a huge hypertube hub. So from here, we can take any of these tubes, and it takes us to wherever the heck we want to go really fast. Even if that's just around our main base. But more important than anything, it was time for Choo.
So due to popular demand, I have added a motivational message. Choo choo mother.
Choo choo indeed. Trains are the backbone of our entire world, allowing us to bring power to every square inch and yoink resources from wherever we want. Which took an extremely long time, but my goodness has it paid dividends. And will continue to for the rest of the playthrough. With the train system built, main base in place, and with critical resources like Rubar and Aluminum made, we had all the tools necessary to finally start on the main nuclear power plant, which would use all of the uranium in the world. And this is the diorama world I used while working on the project, where each machine represents an entire production line we needed to put together. But now with the resources and water and a foundation to build on, one of the first things I needed to get done was a control building. Because over my past playthroughs, I've kind of had a couple nuclear power plant accidents. Whoopsie daisies. Don't want to have an extra million barrels of nuclear waste again. And man, oh man, was this a very good decision. Because in the core of the nuclear power plant, we have the main control room. In here, we can monitor all of the main resources, like the acids, the uranium, the nuclear fuel rods, and of course, the uranium waste. But also there's an area for controlling all of the fuel rod production alongside the main power grid. So if there ever is like any kind of an emergency, we have options. Like, hey, let's stop making more fuel rods. And maybe we turn on the emergency system. Controls like that, so things don't go totally out of line. There's also a variety of monitoring stations, just to see how much uranium waste we're making, or what's going on with fuel rod production. And if something does go wrong, there's tons of backup power storage, huge item reserves, and tons of smart splitters to redirect hazardous material. But how do we even get a nuclear power plant online? Well, it's simple. You get some nuclear power plants, you make some fuel rods, and you let her rip, bud. Easy peasy. But the main thing we needed to do was actually get rid of the waste. The uranium waste. Once our entire plant was up and running, we'd be making 2,520 uranium waste per minute, which is highly radioactive, and worst of all, you can't throw it away. Nuclear waste cannot be destroyed. Fix it does not waste. But you can refine it and then throw it away by breaking it down and turning it into plutonium fuel rods. So on top of all of this, we have to add in all of that, which by the way is a huge diorama. I just couldn't fit in all the machines for this one little guy. So that's represented by the drone. And for all that work though, we get the plutonium fuel rods and then we dump them. We don't even get the satisfaction of burning them in a power plant, because then we're back to square one with plutonium waste. But spoilers, we will be dealing with that eventually. It's a pretty simple plan. Just have to put the pieces together with a ton of different factories, making stators, rotors, an absolute absurd amount of quick wire, an even more absurd amount of acid, and then just everything else on the to-do list. But anyway, after days and months and years and centuries, or more so like 6 months, we're able to get the uranium fuel rods automated, build our plutonium systems, and get our nuclear power plant online, which will make us all the rest of the power we need for the playthrough. Well, hopefully, probably, maybe, because now we're moving into the real end game. The final 4 factories for the last space elevator parts. And my end game plans and these end game machines are nuts. So we'll see how things go. And ideally we don't have any nuclear meltdowns and everything turns out just fine. 4th time's the charm, ha ha ha. And if you want to come along for the ride, remember to subscribe. Or if you want to see this world for yourself, the save file and all my blueprints are available on Patreon. But that is where we're at, 800 hours later. So I guess that'll be all. Now I couldn't explain every little thing here, but I hope this video helped you get an idea of what's going on. So remember to leave a like, and again, subscribe for more. And until then, have a fantastic rest of your day, and bye-bye.